Have you ever seen what a political self-sabotage looks like? Not by the opposition, not by enemies, not by conspiracies. It's when you shoot yourself in the foot and then wonder, why does it hurt? Today we're going to talk about Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, who for years has been handing out benefits, money, anything you can imagine to illegal immigrants. He gave them our money, our rights, and now these same people are suing him. Well, honestly, that's just great from my point of view. And all this is happening while the federal government is telling him, either you do it by the law or we take away $200 million from you. And you know what the worst part is? He trapped himself in this situation. What could go wrong? Since 2019, when Newsom became governor, California has issued more than 17,000 commercial driver's licenses to people without legal status, undocumented immigrants. Commercial ones, not just riding a moped nearby, but driving semis and trucks. Large-scale interstate transportation. Attention, attention. A significant portion of these drivers don't know English, can't read road signs, and don't meet federal safety requirements. Well, Newsom is like, come on, what could possibly go wrong, right? Yeah, exactly. For example, there are fatal accidents all over the country because these drivers don't just drive in California, ladies and gentlemen. They drive everywhere, and a lot of Americans have already died in accidents. The federal government, we're actually against it. And this is where the Federal Department of Transportation comes onto the scene. Secretary of Transportation Sean Daffey has been putting heavy pressure on California for several months. In August, he says, guys, you have 30 days to check all these drivers for English proficiency and give them at least a minimal exam, some kind of basic knowledge test. California's response is silence. And of course, you want to say something like, corpses, yes, standing by the road with scythes. Well, you know, it's classic when you hope that if you don't respond, the problem will just go away on its own, but it didn't. In October, there was a freeze of $40 million in federal funding, and in November, there was already an ultimatum. If you don't revoke all 17,000 licenses by January 5th, by licenses, they mean driver's licenses. Yes, or we'll take another $160 million, so in total, almost $200 million. Newsom is caught between a rock and his own electorate, and this is where the circus begins. Because Newsom doesn't have a good way out. One scenario is that he revokes the licenses, the editors, again, the license and the attorney's rights. He loses the support of migrants, and his own base too. They shout traitor, like in Iran, death to the Shah or death to the Ayatollah. Now they'll be shouting something like that, maybe Newsom or something similar. Scenario number 2, he defends the migrants, as they say. Undocumented or illegal immigrants, as we call them, caused California to lose $200 million in funding. And the federal authorities say, it's your choice, do whatever you want. And at this very moment, the politics of I want to please everyone collides with reality. He's over there acting like, I'm handsome, charming, I smell great, and I never lie, he said, and then lied. Plot twist. The migrants are filing lawsuits, and now the cherry on top, of course, is the migrants themselves. Those very same people who got those licenses through activist organizations are now suing Newsom. Subtitles for that very Newsom who gave them those driver's licenses in the first place. Oh, they're demanding, give us 2 more months so we can learn the language. 2 months so they can learn English. So that's how the guys somehow got legalized. Well, that's a refusal, right? Thank you for your support, and now we're going to sue you. The organization Jakara Movement has its own leadership, the Jakara Movement, which is a structure that represents the interests of Punjabi Sikhs from India who, by the way, have a lot of people working in freight transportation. For some reason, a lot of them started going to places like Chelmach, and all these guys are saying, Newsom, you're not protecting us enough. Seriously. He gave them these rights, licenses, turned a blind eye to everything. Turned a blind eye and for years promoted their interests, but now they say that's not enough for us, like the Ukrainians. Well, it's like if he let someone into his home and that person sued him because they didn't like the color of the walls. Newsom backs down, but the feds aren't impressed. Newsom is trying to sit on two chairs at once. He agrees to a 2-month delay for them to learn English. They've lived here for years without learning, understanding, or reading anything, and now they're expected to learn it all in 2 months. Like, okay, fine, I'll give you more time, but the federal government says, no way, not a chance. Sean Duffy says the deadline is January 5th, no extensions. Either you meet the requirements or you say goodbye to funding. And so Newsom is standing there looking one way, activists, a nightmare, the other way, the federal budget, also a nightmare, and he realizes there's no way out, no good way out. Or, to put it in Russian slang, disaster has snuck up unnoticed. The boomerang effect has come around. And now let's remember the main thing. Newsom is dying to get into the White House. Well, in 2028, of course, he's trying to present himself as the main progressive leader of the country. Yes, the defender of all the oppressed, the defender of minorities, the anti-Trump. It's exactly this strategy that's bringing him down now. Because when you spend years saying yes to everyone, yes, we'll give to them and we'll give to others, and it's not even your own to give. Yeah, at some point you can't just keep saying no, it doesn't work. Because what you used to give is now seen as something that belongs to and is owed to those you used to give handouts to, so they could be used for your own purposes. Trump's plan turned out to be insanely simple. Force Newsom to choose between losing the funding that the well-being of the state's residents depends on, or betraying the illegals he himself brought into the state and promised a paradise life at our expense, of course, yours and mine. And now Trump's plan has become a reality. Where does the money come from? Out of thin air. And now we move on to finances. San Francisco is the city that sent us the leading revolutionary named Gavin Newsom. They're discussing reparations. To whom? To black people. For what? For the fact that our grandmothers and grandfathers kept their grandmothers and grandfathers as slaves? I swear, I know for sure my grandparents never kept a single black slave. But then again, who knows? And do you know how much they're discussing? Like $5 million for each black resident. It sounds nice, but there's just one little problem, just one small problem. The city's budget is already $1 billion in the red, but that doesn't bother anyone. People are ready to discuss anything at this point. So my people say whatever they want. Because, you see, maybe the money will show up from somewhere. Who knows? Maybe it grows on trees or is used to pave the streets. By the way, maybe that money will grow, along with the tens of billions that California has already lost in recent years, and who will pay to finish the picture starting January 1, 2026. So, for a couple of days now, illegal migrants have been getting completely free medical care. At the expense of, well, let's say the state right now, meaning at the expense of the residents of the state who work, they will be robbed. In addition to the fact that, in my opinion, this is the most predatory state in the United States of America. But that's not enough for them. They will keep robbing all the time. A person comes to the hospital and according to local California laws, it's forbidden to ask about their status, meaning you can't ask if they have insurance. Really? Yes, so the Medi-Cal system is for the poor, for the sick, and so on for the elderly. It's already bursting at the seams. Well, now it's full mode. Pay, taxpayer, you're a taxpayer, so pay. If that's not enough, we'll take more, and if that's still not enough, we'll take billions, just billions. And the question being discussed is which of the California billionaires have already left and who is in the process of leaving. Boomerang. If you put it all together, you get such a talented, brilliant picture. Licenses, driver's licenses for illegals, reparations worth billions, free healthcare also costing billions, deficits also in the billions, courts. Now they're being sued for not giving enough, and it's a battle, a war. The federal government started taking away driver's licenses from illegals, and because of that, they sued and ended up in court. And each of the 17,000 really wants something. And what do they really want? I think they want 1 million each, maybe even 5. Well, actually, the point is that people without legal status who have already received commercial driver's licenses and access to benefits in California are trying to keep that at any cost. What exactly do they want? They want to keep the commercial licenses they've been issued because that's their job. Income, the ability to travel across the country in trucks and support their families in Mexico or India or somewhere else. Or maybe they have one family in Mexico and they've started another one here. So losing their licenses means losing their jobs and a sharp blow to their standard of living. Naturally, no one wants to lower their standard of living. They want at least a delay and some relief. Maybe something will happen later. Through lawyers, human rights groups, and this Jakarta I told you about, they are demanding that the court not allow mass license cancellations, and it's just tears streaming down you can't even imagine. They want to preserve California, to preserve the California model, access to free health care, to local special programs, social programs, and also the tolerant attitude of the authorities towards the lack of status. That is, not to notice at all. It doesn't matter if you're walking down the street. It doesn't matter at all whether you're a resident. I mean, whether you're a citizen or not, do whatever you want, go wherever you want, do whatever you want. A bunch of thieves come here, steal, then go back. Everything is fine, everything is okay. And life in California is much more profitable and safer for them than in most other states. And they come to us from other states, too. They expect that the state political leadership will take their side against the federal government, meaning that Newsom and the Democratic authorities will continue to protect their rights through courts and negotiations, even at the risk of losing federal money because that federal money doesn't actually go to them, but to someone else. California is dying. For years, it gave illegal immigrants rights and benefits, creating dependency and political loyalty. And now, when the federal government demands to roll all this back, these same people are no longer willing to give it up and are starting to fight to keep their rights. These are rights they've had for a long time now. They've belonged to them for a long time. Yeah, I don't know why, but if they're giving them, there must be a reason. And for preserving all these rights, money, and services by any available political and legal means. The most ironic thing is that Newsom is losing to everyone at once. Migrants are against him, the feds are against him, and the budget is against him. Gentlemen, this is not a conspiracy. This is called the Boomerang effect, the finale of this tragicomedy. Here's the main question. If one state can drive itself into a financial and political dead end so quickly, what will happen if they try to spread this model across the whole country? Because someone has to pay for all this anyway. Yes, the doctor still needs to eat. The electric company wants to get paid for their electricity, and those who make medicine want to be paid too. So none of this is free, and it's not the politicians who pay for it. They steal from us and then buy votes for themselves. Regular people, you and I, are the ones who pay. That's how it goes when your most loyal and faithful allies become your biggest opponents. That's all. Stop. I don't even know what to wish Newsom because I don't want to say anything bad at the end. So I wish us all a good, fun, and interesting life to get rid of all this parasitic scum. Goodbye.